Check.
This is working. I don't know about mine.
Is it green? You got the green light on? Nope. Here.
Camera.
Testing.
Welcome to WZA 106.9, campusnation.com. Tonight, I would like to give a special thanks to all our viewers and our fans that come out each and every week to listen to our sports show. Tonight, we have Coach Scott Killen, head coach of the Wilmington Hurricanes, and joining him will be Hurricanes athletes Tyrese Ford and Parker Gunkel. Thank you guys for joining us. Canes are 6-3 this year, going on their last game of the season. How are you feeling about this week coming in and hosting Massey?
Well, I mean, just as good as any other week. You know, the kids have worked hard, and you know this is it. You know, it's a county rival. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna lay it on the line, and you know, no matter what, you know, Clinton Massey's know they're gonna be in a fight. And I think that's what we preached all week, and the kids have. I mean, we've had 3 great practices, and today was kind of a light practice, more of a mental practice, and you know, the kids are prepared, they're ready. Now it's just time to go out and put the ball on the tee and let's go.
Now, do you feel as if this week, going with Massey this week? This is big in the playoffs. Talking playoffs, you guys got a lot on the line here,
Doesn't mean we don't take care of Friday night. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen. I've looked at, I've crunched the numbers. Other coaches have crunched the numbers, and basically we have to win, and then 4 things have to happen. And all very, very possible. We have to have Goshen has to beat New Richmond, Kettering-Alder has to beat Chaminade, Wapakoneta has to lose to St. Mary's, and then Piqua has to lose to Troy. So looking at it, if we win, those 4 things happen, then it comes down to point-wise, are we a 7 seed or an 8 seed? Best case scenario, we're a 7 seed and we're playing Goshen in the first round. Or, we have it where we finish 9, 10, or 11 based on what our schedule does. So the Harbin point system, I've said this from the get-go, is probably one of the more fairest systems out there when it comes to playoffs and figuring playoffs. And I'll never say anything bad about it. It is what it is. But you have to win to get in, and it is about who you play. And so the task at hand is Clinton Massey, and we're going to step up and play and let the chips fall where they may.
Coaches, it seemed like, at the start of the season, obviously a lot of expectations. You had a few injuries come along.
Yeah.
A few, some vital players, by the same token, you've had other people step in and do a real good job.
We have, and that goes, our seniors and our underclassmen, and just, always being prepared. And what these kids, what these seniors, have went through this year has been kind of like a roller coaster ride. No one can expect the adversity that literally smacked them in their face, and every day they've come to practice and they're ready to work hard and just kind of keep on going. And we've had kids step up, and from the seniors, the juniors to the sophomores, all step up and kind of try to fill that void as best as possible.
And Mark Huber had a nice comment in the paper today too, talking about the group of seniors, and you obviously have a bonding with them, so to speak, for lack of a better term, because you've been with this group ever since you took the helm here to be the Hurricane football coach.
Yeah, when I came, it's something I've talked about with them this week is, their freshman year, when they came in, they didn't know what they didn't know. And, my first head coaching job, I came in, have no idea what I was getting myself into. So we're kind of like on the same plane. And then, we kind of grew together. They've embraced, they've been through the process of, what I've tried to build and continue to build. And they've been there since day one. And, we talked today, and they brought up something I didn't remember today when the seniors had their last tackle, was that my first year I didn't let all the freshmen dress. I completely forgot all about that, and they were very quick to point, yeah, I didn't dress. I'm like, my bad. I apologize. So it's kind of funny how they remember that stuff, and I'm getting old and gray, and it kind of.
Wait a minute, you're a CrossFit guy that's almost 60 years old now.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm catching you. But and I also told these guys, I love them to death. I spend more time with them than I do my own kids, and and I can't wait to see them compete tomorrow night. I dread not being with them on Monday, come films or the next week, whenever our last time is together. I'm not going to be like, phew, they're gone. No, not at all. I'm going to miss them. And I think that goes to the kind of character those kids are. They're phenomenal young men that are going to do great things with the rest of their life when the football season's done, when they graduate and they move on to college, and I can't wait to see where they go.
And it's so interesting. I want to follow up with one more thing with Coach Killen. I'll turn it back over to you, Chris. Sports in general, and I've heard people say, well, sports, it's great for the competition aspect, but I firmly believe this. Football, sports in general, team sports especially, they also build character.
Oh.
And if there would be one thing I'd say about this squad, from what I've seen of your squad this year, and I've seen all but maybe 2 or 3 games, coping with adversity. That's been the biggest thing, and I think all these young men have grown up because of that.
Oh, and just how you handle adversity, that defines your character, and and you're going to face with these moments all through your life.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter whether it's you got a job or you interviewed for a job and you don't get it. Okay, what do? Do you sit and sulk and pout, or are you going to next job, or I got to find something to put bread on the table, something like that, and and I don't worry about these kids. They're great kids. I got a great group of kids that no matter what happens in life, when adversity does smack them, they're going to bounce right back and they're going to continue to move forward. I credit to these seniors for that. Because I'm not going to lie, there's been times where I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? But these kids are like, we got this, and they just kept coming to practice, kept showing up every single day and just working hard. Very easily we could have filled the tent, after New Richmond and Goshen. We could have, tucked tail and said, all right, we're good, let's just have fun, No, they came working hard, wanting to get better, wanting to compete, and we've had some great practices this week, and I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow night.
The key thing is always to put whatever happened the previous week in the rearview mirror.
Right.
You can't move forward if you're trying to drive looking in the rearview mirror.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Go over to you, Parker. You're a senior this year. You've had the opportunity to have Coach Killen all 4 years of your senior, or all the way through your senior year. Going into your last for sure game this year, what does this game mean to you? Getting the opportunity to go out on Friday nights, and it's a for sure game. You're playing. What does it mean to you?
It's kind of hard to wrap my head around it. I've been here 4 years. I started off my freshman year not knowing if I was going to continue with the program. I've started playing back in youth in 3rd grade, and the previous coaching staff before I came into high school, they were a bit questionable for me. Like, my brother had them, and they weren't really that great with him. But coming in freshman year and being with Coach Killen's staff, it just changed it. It solidified my place. I knew what I wanted to do for the next 4 years of my life. And coming up to this last game of that career, or for sure game of this last career, it's really hard to realize that could be it. That could be the last time I put on the pads. And after the game is over, I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. It'll probably take a few days for me to realize after I come home, not going to practice, that part of my life is over. That chapter in my life is ended and a new one begins. And it's just, this game feels like the end of a chapter and the beginning of the next.
Now, Parker, let me ask one thing to Parker. And I've known this young man practically his whole life because we used to be neighbors, used to live on the same street. Playing football, what's been the one key thing that it's done for you in your maturity process, as you look forward to life? What will you look back and say, football did this for me? What was the one thing you could put on that?
Probably just companionship. I grew up with this group of seniors ever since I started playing back in 3rd grade. And they've already taught me that I could go into something seeking out friends and leave with brothers. They taught me how to work together great as a team, how to be a great individual, how to mature and become a man.
There you go.
Now, Tyrese, go to you, buddy. What is some things that you've worked on, over your 4 years, off season, on the field, off the field? Some of the things in the off season you've worked to get where you're at this year.
Okay. Off season, I've been hitting the weight room 24/7. That's most of it. I've been doing sprints, 24/7, constantly running. Even when coach ain't even saying nothing, I might go to the
Pull the mic up a little bit. There you go.
I might go to the track, I might run a little bit, try to get better. That's mainly what I do.
Do you play any other sports, basketball, baseball, track, any other things?
No.
So this means a lot. What's it been like for having Coach Killen here all 4 years of your career? I mean, what's Coach Killen mean to you, coming in here, taking over the program?
Oh, I love the guy, man, because I heard that Coach Vita wasn't, he wasn't all that, but Coach Killen
You've won him over, Coach.
No disrespect, but, he's off and he went to go do his own thing. Coach Killen came in, he's turned the program around a whole lot. I will say that,
Similar question.
He did a whole lot for us.
Similar question I asked to Parker. I threw it at you also, Therese. What's the one thing that playing football has done for you as far as, becoming a young adult, and that you look back and say, I'm glad I played football because?
It helped me become a man, for one. Getting punched, beat down, having to get back up and do it all over again, Get better next time and try even harder.
And that's awesome, Coach. And, you have your seniors here tonight. You bring on a senior every week, 1 or 2 seniors every week, bring a coach here and there. What's it mean to have these guys sitting here going into week 10, knowing that these guys, you've turned their life around just as much, as they've turned your life around,
Right.
sure.
Well, in my whole thought process, when I decided I wanted to be a coach, and you start off, you're like, okay, I want to win X amount of games. I want to build this program. I want to win state championships. And all this, and I do, and I want all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it makes me. I'm so flattered to hear what they say, because everything they're saying is what I wanted them to do. 4 years through my program, what does it do? Okay, does it make you a better person? Yes. Do you build companionship? Do you become a better teammate? Yes. All those things I wanted more than the wins and the losses, more than any other game I wanted to win. I wanted those guys to feel brotherhood, those guys to feel that what we're doing every single day in practice, competing, it's for a bigger purpose than just Friday night. Don't get me wrong, Friday night's important, because that's when you get it's your payday. It's from films at Saturday morning to icing and taking care of your bodies on Sunday, and then the grueling practice and sprints on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday night's the payday. But to hear them say that it's made them a better person, made them tougher mentally, physically, and the companionship that they got with their teammates, hopefully those relationships carry on through college into their adulthood, until the very end.
One thing I'd like to do while we have this opportunity, and of course, being the one that has to fall back on looking at a list, I'd like to recognize all the seniors while we have this opportunity. We're talking about people like Dylan Bogart. He's been injured, of course, the last few games. Connor Barton, French Jeriska, Matt Smith, Kyler Reed, Sloan Marsh, Derek Davis, Jaron Evans, Zach Eden, Dorian Taylor, Tony Merritt, Wes Lunsford, Brett Bell, Jeffrey Mansfield, Doug Estes, and the 2 young men here tonight, Parker Gunkel and Therese Ford. That's a good group of people that, you've got for building blocks that you've had for 4 years, Coach.
Oh, absolutely. And, I'm hoping that what they said today and, and their actions, on and off the field has kind of really embraced, not embraced, but really laid the solidarity and the foundation that I wanted to have in the program, and hopefully the younger kids embrace that and build upon it and start putting the walls, and all the support around the foundation to get where I really want to take this program.
And of course, a lot of history, a lot of legacy here. It brought to mind as you was talking about that, having the session with him. Okie Waddell, everybody knows who Okie is. They always talked about the seniors. They'd have that last lap together, going around the track and talking about life in general and so forth. And I'm sure you probably tapped into something like that. What kind of an experience was that, getting to visit with each of these young men on the eve of their final game that they're ever going to play here at Wilmington High School?
Well, we did. Our tradition is the last hit, and basically that they come up and they talk about their experience, and some were more animated and thorough than others, and but what's really interesting when you sit there is each one of their personalities come out. Every single senior has an opportunity to speak and just talk, and I get it's whatever they want, and some of them were very good, but we really got into their personality and their character of who they really are, and that shows. And then they get the final hit on the dummy. A lot of people say, "Oh, the final hit." Like the freshmen today, they're kind of freaked out, thinking, "Oh my gosh, am I going to get hit?" No, and also allowed them to pick out an underclassman or a senior, or someone that meant the world to them, or they want to see, that they had some type of relationship with. They get to hold the dummy that they hit, and I think that's it was very interesting to see the connections they made and let them tell their story. So,
Tyrese, going to you. Who did you pick on, to hold the dummy there for your last hit, and why?
I picked Tony Merritt, mainly because that's been my ride or die friend for a long time, Since middle school. I've been with the dude almost every day. Like, not during the season. We go out, we have fun 24/7. That's how it is.
Now, Coach sitting there talking about it, and you want to leave that legacy to someone, and you're going to pick a guy that you really feel that can follow in your footsteps. You've already built this with him. You built a relationship with him. You're going to come back next year, watch him play. How does that feel, to be able to leave that with him?
Well, for one, he's a senior also, and he's been injured, so he hasn't been able to play. Which it's sad, man. I really wanted to play with him this year. I really did. Even during practice, because he's one of those kids that they can really help you get better. So that's it.
Now, going to you, Parker. I was going to ask you a question here. Who'd you have hold the dummy there for you today, and who'd you just pick, and why did you pick him there?
I had junior Hayden Dale. He held my dummy, and I picked him out because I've been playing with him since he was in 7th grade and I was in 8th grade. And ever since he moved up to high school football with me, he's been there by my side. When I needed someone to talk to, he was there. Whenever we're on the line together, he always pushed me and challenged me to do my best. I did the same for him. And having him approach the end of his junior year, and next year is his senior year playing football, I want him to have the same feeling I had when coming into this year, knowing that it could be his last if he doesn't decide to go into college and play. And just leave that feeling with him, knowing that it will end one day. It's not going to last forever, and when that time comes, you just got to accept it and play your heart out.
Something I'd like to ask of Coach Killen, too, the fact that the head coach, he has to surround himself with good assistants, and I've always admired the fact that, it seems like you've brought in a core group of assistants that have stuck with you for several years, and, the success of a head coach is going to be determined by what his assistants can also convey. Why don't you take an opportunity and kind of run down some of your assistant coaches that you've had with you all this time?
Well, Josh Wolf was my first hire. He's and there's everybody knows. He's one of my best friends. And
Bubba.
Yeah, and he, then you got Nathan McCloney, and I've known Nathan from for years, and both those two guys are my coordinators. Josh, the offense coordinator, Nathan's defensive coordinator. And I couldn't ask for two better guys to run the show for the most part, and lets me do more head coaching stuff. That my first 3 years, I was a little overwhelmed getting in with all the stuff outside of the actual X's and O's that came about, and something I didn't realize. And both those guys kind of let me handle and manage more than actually game plan and scheme and things like that, and they're just phenomenal. And then you got JD McIntosh, been with me for 3 years now, and JD's old school guy, and then I got Gary Massey, I got Ryan Stuckey, and Joe Gigani, and I got Marcus Stewart. All those guys. Anything I ask, they're very loyal, and they'll jump on and do whatever they can to help me out. And I'm very appreciative of all of them. And I couldn't ask for a more dedicated staff, and a staff that when I hired them all, I had one thing: just have my back. And they absolutely do. And I couldn't be. I'm blessed to have them, in the way they, get after the kids and care for the kids and stuff. They're, love them to death.
And it seems like there's renewed enthusiasm in the youth program, and obviously, you can't just build it with a high school group. You've got to look at the lower grade levels too. And you need to have a strong youth program.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm probably going to miss names, but Pete Brown and Todd Reynolds, and and there's so many down there that do a phenomenal job with the youth that kind of energize and keep them going, and teach them the fundamentals. And then the middle school coaches, Rob Rappage kind of runs the show down there with Tim Sturr and BJ McAvoy and Travis Mellinger and Dennis Nance. Have done a phenomenal job of getting the kids ready to get with me now. Getting them ready, and then actually, when they're a freshman, realizing, oh my gosh, this is what it really is going to be about. It's two different things, and I got my son sitting over there, and he's probably the only junior high kid that really knows what he's getting himself into when he goes from 8th grade to 9th grade, and then everything that I ask of the kids, and it's a daunting list of things that I want to make sure they do in the summer, and from volunteer work to making sure they're at every workout and don't miss a workout. And then when you're in the workout, you're gonna find a trash can and put something in it. So
I've been waiting to bring this one up too. It doesn't hurt to have the loudest cheerleader in the stands. I'm sure she's got your back too.
No, I don't know who that is. I said enough about her last week, so.
Well, see, I didn't get to hear it, so I thought I'd at least bring it up tonight.
It's on the website.
It's on. So rolling back to Mason McIntosh, quarterback. Man, what a great week he had last week. I mean, he was so poised. You guys ran a lot of plays. His play fakes was exceptional. I mean, how much has he brought to your team? Having Brady out this.
Well, I mean, considering he's our third string quarterback and probably got 10 reps all of 2 days. Yeah, I mean, and one thing I've been saying is our offense just has to find its groove. And I think looking at it, I think we may have found it. We're back to doing what we do instead of searching like, okay, well, does this work now? Does this work now? We kind of, Josh Wolf said, nope, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to play conservative. We're going to set stuff up. We're going to throw it down the field, and whatever happens, happens. And I told him, well, let's roll with it, because what we're working the past couple of weeks wasn't really getting it done, especially when basically we laid an egg against Batavia, and couldn't get out of our own way. But Mason did a phenomenal job. I think when it was all said and done, I think it was 18 of 20. One incompletion in the paper. I think they said he was 17 of 20. Yes, he was 17 of 20. He was really 18 for 20 because of the pass interference that shouldn't count as an attempt.
True. That's right.
And for 245 yards, and then ran for 88 yards or something. Can account for 5 touchdowns. I mean, little dude probably weighs 125 pounds soaking wet with pads on, and but he did a phenomenal job stepping in there and having that moxie to stand back there and throw. And Matt Smith had a big game. I think he had just under 90 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns, and and so DJ did what DJ does, and the O-line started to kind of find its groove, and hopefully we just got to keep rolling. We did what we expect to do all the time. It doesn't matter who's on the field. We just, what happened. That's our expectation. Defensively, we had some issues with our eye discipline. But it's what we worked on all week, and this week is all about running downhill and winning line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So,
keys to the game tomorrow night. If you are successful,
yes.
what would you say is the key thing you have to do tomorrow night? The one key element that must be in your favor versus Clinton Massey.
All right, well, here it is. I got a little bit of history on this. First off, we have to stop the fullback, okay, for Clinton Massey.
Colleen.
Yeah, because everything that Dan does over there is centered around the fullback. He's going to try to establish the fullback. We have to take the fullback away. Okay. Second thing we have to do, we have to fire off, and we have to win the line of scrimmage. If we allow their big guys to get on us, it's going to be a long night for us. So we have to win the line of scrimmage. Second thing, we have to watch the pass. And everybody's like, what? You know, like
When you least expect
yeah,
it.
when you know, and do I know when they're going to pass? Absolutely. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say it on the air, but there is a pattern on when they pass.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so we have to be ready for that because they may pass 3-4 times a game, but they're going to do it in the most unexpecting time when you're asleep, and it could go for 3 to 4 touchdowns.
Now, do you have your safety leaking over the top, you know, saying, hey, listen, because they go to the tight end a lot.
Chris, I can't tell you that.
Okay, but, you know, I'm just trying to, hey.
Come on,
Trying to
man.
get in your head.
Hey, I'm trying to I'm feeling you out, man. It's all right. Go ahead.
There's Massey peeps, and they're sitting at home right now thinking, "Oh my gosh, Killen knows we're listening." Yeah, you know, we haven't done anything different. You know, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we're going to attack the line. We're going downhill. We're going to hit our gaps, and we're going to win the line of scrimmage. That's what I'm going to tell you we're going to do. You know, and they don't go to tight end very much when they throw. I mean, last Tyrese, when they throw, who they go to?
Number 2,
Luke Richardson. All right, so we know that's what's going to happen. You know, we know the routes that he's going to run. You know, I think everybody in the state knows what routes you're going to run. We just have to be better defending than the other 9 teams they've played. So that's our defensive standpoint. You go to special teams, and we have to win the special teams battle. They're phenomenal in special teams. We can't have any breakdowns. That's what I've kind of said this week. We have to be perfect. We have to be smart with it. You know, you look at last year's game. Last year we lost by 2. Where'd those 2 points come? On a block punt that went for a safety. Okay, so we worked on that.
It's always the little things.
It's all, yeah, and it really comes down when you put 2 good teams on the field. It's the little things that are going to either win the game for you or lose the game for you. So that's kind of what our focus has been. Then offensively, we have to move the ball. We have to move the chains. We can't go 3 and out and let their offense just kind of wear us down. We have to give our defense time to make adjustments and get our offense going in a rhythm to move the ball down the field and just move the chains to keep the possession on our time.
Hey, Parker, going to you, back to you again, buddy. Do you feel this week has been more, you know, in practice, been more intense or compared to any other week, or is it about the same, things like that?
We've definitely been focusing a lot more on the little things. Like you said, when it comes down to 2 big teams, the little things are what matters and what's going to come down to. Not necessarily are we like hitting harder, or of course we're going harder at one another. We need to make sure we're all ready for Friday night. But we have been more focused. We've been communicating more with each other. Like the offensive line, they've been coordinating their plays, where to block, and how to work together as one unit. Defense been calling out motions and all that stuff in order to get down what they need to do to win the line of scrimmage. It's just been a very focused week.
One thing I would like to ask Coach Killen about, and I know it's kind of a very tough subject right now, with the tragic loss of one of our key players from a few years ago, tragic news with Mark Huff being killed in an accident out in California. You were close to Mark, of course, he played for you and so
Phenomenal young man.
Oh, just, you know, your thoughts in general, and I know there's going to be a special tribute to him tomorrow night.
The football program, you know, we're going to do some things to honor him. But one thing I'll never forget about Mark is at the end of the season, he came up to me. He goes, "You know, Coach Killen," he goes, "I don't like Massey." He goes, "When you came from Massey," he goes, "I didn't know what to really expect from you." He goes, "But you know what? I really like you." And I was like, "I appreciate that, Mark." And, you know, and Mark's one of those guys, and I tell these guys all the time, you know, when he came in, I was like, we're going to fix the offensive line first. The offensive line is the most important spot. And Mark was a defensive guy. And I was like, Mark, I need you to play right guard. He goes, all right, coach, whatever. Then about 2 games in, I was like, all right, Mark, I need you to play both sides. All right, coach, whatever. So, and then that kind of, Mark was all in. He was phenomenal. He left it all on the field. And I'll never forget, because we ran so much that first year. You guys remember how much we ran that first year? Right? You don't. You're a freshman. You didn't know what you didn't know.
A lot.
But I remember he came to me. He goes, Coach, I'm in so good shape because for wrestling season. And I was like, why is that? He goes, because you guys have made us run so much. He goes, I'm down to, I think he was down to like 195 pounds from like 220. And, and that's just who Mark was. I mean, he was always had a smile, and, and he was just phenomenal kid to be around. But you knew exactly what he was thinking. He wasn't afraid to tell you, what was on his mind, and that's one thing I learned very early. I'm like, what's up, Mark? And he'd be like, well, and I'm like, okay, never asking you that question again, because he told me, phenomenal, and, as a program, and myself, my family, our thoughts and prayers go to the Huff family dealing with this, and, and all Mark's friends. It's rough. Unfortunately, you do this long enough. You're gonna be part of this, and it never gets. It's not an easy. It's absolutely awful to see a young life taken so quickly. And I just, and right now I just pray for his family. Because they're gonna need, all the prayers and thoughts they can get right now to get through this tough time. So.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Good luck tomorrow, Parker, Tyrese. Hey, Coach,
Sir,
it's
thank
always
you.
a pleasure.
Always, buddy.
Thank you guys so much, and good luck tomorrow night. You better come out with a big W.
Hey, you know what? It's going to be a street fight on the 50.
Yep.
Let's go.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Great call.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, sounds good.
They're coming on now, so.
Good job, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on. Thank you, guys.
Enjoyed it. See you, friend. Take care.
See you guys.
Thank you, Tyrese. Good job. One's closed with that.
Good closing.
Oh, I had to. Right at the very end. Want to do it right at the very end.
Yep.
Hey, where are you? There he is.
Bernie said.
You got some questions ready for me?
Yeah, I got some.
Okay. Anything else? How are you? Good to see you.
Burn. Because he was going to burn me.
I know.
Because I'm like, but I call him. Welcome back to WZA 106.9 CampusNation.com. The second segment, we have head coach Brian Moore here with us, with Matt Byrne here. Matt Byrne, real quick, I just wanted to ask you a question. You come from Heidelberg, you and Coach. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience at Heidelberg.
I enjoyed it. I was there for 5 years. Had a fifth year because of an injury. My true senior year, I liked it enough to encourage my 2 younger brothers to go there as well. And I have another brother that's a freshman there right now. But I enjoyed it. It was everything that I was looking for in a college experience. Wanting to get into coaching because of my football experience there.
You did have some great coaches there.
That's a fact. Some great coaches there, some master motivators and stuff like that. But no, it was a great experience, and especially my 2 years as a GA were pretty enjoyable as well, and that's why I want to continue to be a college coach, and that's why I'm where I'm at today. So,
Now, Coach, coming off last week, this week, you're going back to Heidelberg, back home. It's where you pretty much, started your foundation here. You got four guys up there that you coached with that mean a lot to you, kind of like brothers. What's it mean going back to Heidelberg this week?
Yeah, it's going to be, obviously when I took this job, that was one you marked on the schedule is going to be
An emotional one, certainly for me, and a big part of our staff here at Wilmington. Going back, that we had some really good years there, and coaching against some of our best friends. So it's going to be an emotional trip, no doubt about it. I think that'll go away quick. I think once the nostalgia hits and you get on the field, you shake some hands. I think once a player start running around, I don't imagine I'll think about it much after that. Haven't thought about it much, all week so much as far as seeing them on film and preparing for them. Myself and their head coach text back and forth, quite frequently. He's doing his radio show right now. He said he was going to talk a bunch of crap about me, which is fair game. But it should be fun. It'll be enjoyable. It'll be a little different emotion, I think, than I've ever had before, certainly in my profession, and even preparing for him this week. That's kind of what we've joked about. It's it feels almost like an inter squad scrimmage, with me leaving there, and then the coaches that were underneath me there are now running the offense, and vice versa. Coach Philly was, the right-hand man on the defense there. So they know a lot about what we want to do. We know a lot about what they want to do. So it's pretty unique.
Yeah, I thought the interesting thing, I talked with Brian, of course, people know I do the write-up for the newspaper as well, and when I talked with him on Sunday night, I said, I guess the best thing is put this thing in the rearview mirror, and he said, Bill, you're so right. He says, we wanted to put the Mount Union experience behind us, and he says, immediately, we switched gears and started thinking about Heidelberg, and I mean, that's the only way, like I said earlier, you can't move forward if you're looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I think in Heidelberg's, I think in that same situation, too, with that Mount Union deal where they won 3 big games early in the year, jumped into the top 25, had a big home game against Mount Union, and Mount Union thumped them about the same score that ours was. And, that was a team that was, really rolling, and then they ran into that buzzsaw, and I don't think they recovered as quickly as what they would have hoped to have, and they got upset last week to Marietta. And Mount Union will do that to you. So, if you can't recover emotionally and mentally after a loss like that, then then it is tough to get back on track.
And you can play that game, the woulda, coulda, shoulda thing. If you had a lucky break here or there, that Marietta ball game, it was right within your grasp, but you guys could have pulled out a W there.
Yeah, we talked about it afterwards too. We just, that was a game where we never got on. We were never playing like when our offense was playing well. In the second half, our defense kind of got tired and fell apart a little bit. But in the first half, our defense was playing really well, and our offense really couldn't get over that hump and put the ball in the end zone, where we had some opportunities early where, in the red zone that we didn't convert with and stuff like that. So we never really played well at the same time. And Marietta, is a good football team, especially, offensively. They got some dudes that can make some plays. And so not a complete shock they beat Heidelberg, but certainly it should be encouraging for our guys. I felt our guys felt pretty good. Like, we definitely probably could have gave one away there against Marietta, and then Marietta turns around and beats a very good Heidelberg team. So our guys should be encouraged, about what's going to go on Saturday.
I guess the thing you would look at also is you break down the season. Of course, you got the opening ball game, then you go right into the OAC. But really, if you think about it, you got a third of the season. That's one stop. Then you go the second, third. Now you've got the last 3 where, you hope that you're continuing to improve, and now it'll be interesting to see what happens these last 3 games.
Yeah, and the last 3 is going to be, without question, it's going to be, whatever we get out of the last 3 games is going to be a direct result of the leadership in our program. Starting with me at the top, filtering down through my coaches, but Terrence here and the rest of that senior class of how we finish these last 3 games. Is it a deal where the old culture kicks in and we just pack it up and we're good? We got our 2 wins, we're shutting it down, or is it a team that's going to finish and fight, to the final whistle of 3 weeks from now, 3 weekends from now, and that's what I'm probably more excited to see is how far this culture's come. It's been tested week after week, and certainly the greatest test was last weekend with Mount Union, and is what we've built strong enough to handle that and finish through the last 3 weeks. That's probably number 1 on my list is how far our leadership has grown in the 7 weeks so far.
And Chris, if I could go ahead and just kind of paraphrase the story too, the thing that I have noticed, and of course I've been doing the PA ever since the local radio station here shut down, so I've been doing it for every year since like 2003. Obviously, we've had some difficult times the last few years, but the thing that I've noticed this year is the enthusiasm from the fans. and they have stayed. Of course, the Earlham game was great, and then the Capital victory with a big rivalry there. But even against Marietta, and even for the most part last week against Mount Union, our fans seemed energized. I think that's a credit to you, to your coaching staff, that you've got a good product on the field, and they're going to stay right with you to the end.
Yeah, I think a lot of them stay just to keep yelling at me. But hey, whatever keeps them there, we're good. We're good with that. But yeah, and we've noticed it. We've noticed there's definitely, and even our own guys on the sideline, there's a different spirit on that sideline. We've coached against it, and we've been up in a press box and watched Wilmington team get down and fold up before. But now our guys that aren't necessarily in the game, our guys that aren't first or second teamers have done a great job on the sidelines of keeping these guys in the fight and not giving up on our teammates.
Yeah, it looks good to see about, 70 to 80 kids on the sideline. It's been quite a while since I've seen that many kids dressed for Wilmington.
Yeah, I think we're about 92 on our roster right now. We started the season at just right about 100. So we've done a real good job with retention. Again, that's a credit to the leadership of those seniors of keeping guys around. Those guys have seen some success, but again, now's a challenging time. Now we're going to see, what they're made of.
So Terrence Murphy here, defensive lineman for Wilmington College. You've been here 4 years. What's some of the? And I appreciate you on the show tonight, man. It's great.
No problem.
What you've been playing at Wilmington College. I've been to about 3 or 4 games. You do a great job. What's some of the things since Coach Morris took over? What's some of the things you notice different about the program and the kids' attitudes?
I see that everybody's inspired, and he's
Microphone just a little bit closer. There you go. That's good.
everybody's inspired, and they want to practice. Coach Moore is he's inspiring everybody, and we want to get better.
What do you think about Coach Philly, man? He's a great guy.
Yeah, Coach Philly is too.
Yeah. What's your aspect on Coach Philly? How do you feel about Coach Philly?
Yeah, I like Coach Philly. He explain. He's a person to talk to. He can when players are don't know any of the plays, or you can go up to talk to him and he'll get you right.
Now, what's your major in college this year?
Business management.
Business management. So you've been here for 4 years. This is your 4th year. Now, what do you plan to do after school? You plan on coaching, moving on, doing what are you planning on doing?
I'm thinking about either moving on to Florida or Texas, and probably just looking for a business so I can just work my way up in any kind of business. It doesn't really matter.
What's the change? You played high school football in Florida.
Yeah.
You come here to Wilmington, Ohio. Mm-hmm. What's the difference in the weather? I want to know this.
It's going from 100-degree weather to negative. It's a huge difference, but it's. I think it's more. It's kind of more. Not more speed, but it's kind of about the same. But except the weather change. But
now, what in high school? Did you ever find yourself coming to Ohio to play football?
No, not really. I haven't. But high school didn't really go well for me, football wise. But I received offers and stuff, but I just looked down the recruiting questionnaires and signed up, and I found Wilmington, and I wanted to just get out of Florida because the heat and stuff.
Yeah. Now, what's your off-season training like? Coming in.
Just a lot of running and working out and in a weight room. Yeah, and basically, just basically that.
That's good. Coach Matt Byrne, going back to you, I was sitting there talking, and I was reading through, and I noticed you was at Heidelberg, and you've coached some All-Americans over there, and of course your time at Heidelberg, and of course we was talking about it earlier. What's some of the things that you're anxious to face them again, and have being in the run game coordinator, being a part of a program that's turning a new leaf? What's some of the things you want to pretty much show and prove to them?
I don't necessarily prove anything.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get back and see some of the guys that I recruited, see some of the guys that I coach with, a lot of the guys coming back, alumni that I played with, and some guys that I coach with are coming back. I don't know if there's necessarily anything I want to prove. I just want my guys, the offensive line, the running backs, the offense really just to play well, and not necessarily play for me just because I was from Heidelberg, coached at Heidelberg, anything like that. I just want them to play well and keep us in the game. Hopefully pull out a win, who knows, but not necessarily I don't want to prove anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, it seems like the productivity is certainly there. I mean, you guys have put a lot of points on the board this year, especially if you take into account what we've seen the last few years. But it seems like
Right.
the style of offense that you're working with is generating points.
yeah, it's exciting. We run it's an RPO spread offense. Luke has a bunch of options back there on most plays, whether to run the ball, hand it off, run it himself, pass it. It's exciting, and it takes a smart group of kids to run an offense like that. When you got to know, hey, I got to be here at the timing with the receivers, offensive line wise. A lot of our plays are run pass options, so they got to make sure they're not 5 yards downfield getting us a penalty for throwing the ball and stuff like that. It's exciting, but there's still a lot of room to grow offensively. I think we were talking about earlier. We've only really gotten in about 30% of what we want to do offensively. At this point in the season, I think we're pleased with where we've gotten to, but there's definitely a lot we can improve on.
His composure seems so much more at ease this year as compared to last year. It seemed like he'd take a 2 or 3 step drop and he was just going to fling the ball out as quick as he could. And it seems like whatever type of offensive strategy you guys have, he just seems more composed back there in the pocket, or else he'll run if he has to.
Yeah, and I think we've been doing a decent job up front of giving them time most games. I think he trusts those guys a little more, and obviously the type of offense we're running with all those run-pass options, I think it keeps the defense at bay a little bit. We haven't seen too much, except for last week against Mount Union. We've seen a ton of blitz, and that was kind of a
But
foreign
everybody
defense.
has problems running against Mount
Right, it
Union.
was kind of a foreign defense for us up front, so they struggled a little bit, but for the most part this year, they've done a great job keeping him clean and keeping him upright.
Luke Credit, of course, he's third in the OAC in completion percentage, 61.4%. Luke Credit is also tied for third in the OAC with touchdowns with 18. He's been a monster in the offensive scheme, Coach. I mean, walk us through this from last year to this year, how big Luke Credit really is. this year.
We talk about it quite frequently. 'Cause just the number, the difference in numbers is pretty dramatic. Oh, somebody's birthday! I'm going to sing here in a second. But
Serenaded.
yeah. Happy birthday! Yeah, there you go. But no, the dramatic change in numbers. It's more about him than it is the scheme. It's they ran a decent scheme last year. I think he just he's a senior. He's matured. I think he learned a lot from his mistakes last year. I think he bought into what we were doing this year. And again, I think he trusts the guys up front a little bit more, and he got real comfortable. We don't really run a system that puts him in a lot of bad situations. We're not sitting back there 5-7 step drop in this conference and trying to protect for 4 or 5 seconds. We're getting the ball out pretty quick for the specific reason of taking hits off of him. You get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. They take a lot of hits. They become a different person. And we just want him to be comfortable and do what he does best. And he's pretty good at seeing the field pre-snap and understanding where the ball's got to go. And when he's comfortable, he does a real good job. And if he's uncomfortable, he can scamper out of there and still make plays. So.
Now, the coaches that coach at Heidelberg and, you're friends with, things like that, you guys are going to talk to them. And, Coach Byrne, you're probably talking, who's one of the guys that you've talked to down there, like, man, ready for us? I mean, talking a little smack, ready to roll.
Most of the trash talk has been through Snapchat for the most part. The person I probably talked to the most is Matt Greaves, our defensive line coach. Naturally, because I'm the offensive line coach, and he's just been talking trash all week. But it's friendly. It's friendly trash talk, and I enjoy it. The guy that I played under and I learned a lot from was Jason Lewis. I've talked to him a little bit throughout the week. It's going to be good to see those guys. It's going to be exciting.
Coach Moore going back, Heidelberg and things, and of course, you guys really turned the program around. After 4 years, you was there. You guys was 8-2.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, you've done a great job. As offense coordinator, special teams coordinator as well.
Yep.
And what's some of the things, have you talked to him? Are you know, and I know not so much trash talk, but, you know,
Yeah.
give a little grief like, here we come, boy.
No, I mean, I don't speak it much from my end. I mean, that's kind of what we talk to our players about is
Yeah.
not getting wrapped up in all that kind of stuff. And I really don't. I mean, there's some friendly stuff that goes back and forth. I'm on all those darn Snapchats too, so I see them all. I laugh at them. I don't get too involved with it. Again, to me, my focus is pretty singular. You know, and again, it's Heidelberg in a way, but whether it's Mount Union or Earlham,
Yeah.
you know, my approach mentally, I believe, is pretty much the same every week of. You know, of my kids that I'm coaching right now and what we have to do to play our best game this week and to change our culture and all the same stuff that I sit here and talk about every week. You know, it doesn't change. I mean, you can put Jim Tressel on the other sideline. I'm going to be the same guy. You know, it doesn't matter much to me.
Coach, looking at the season to date to where you are right now, is this pretty much where you envision the club being at this point? Or obviously you'd like to have more wins, but I mean, from a progress standpoint, is this where you want to be at right now?
Where I want to be, yes and no. I guess definitely no. Let me change that answer. Definitely no. I'd certainly love to be farther along. Am I surprised how far we are? Yes. Like I said, I've done this before at different programs, and I think we've already skipped a couple of steps. We're farther along than probably where we should be, where you figure we didn't really have a true recruiting class. And we don't really, you know, we had a couple of months to get, 50
Yeah,
kids.
once you were
in here.
named, I mean, you had to hit the ground with both feet running.
You know, so we didn't really get a full year to recruit a class. So we're kind of absent without a true first recruiting class, and all we have are the same kids that the last staff had. So usually you don't see a great improvement in that first year. You're just really teaching the standard that first year. And so those wins don't typically come until year 2, year 3 is definitely the year they come. So we're definitely ahead of the curve right now. So, yeah, am I disappointed? Yeah, because I think we should be farther along win-wise. I think we gave away 2 games that we definitely had a chance to win. But again, where we're at right now compared to if you would have told me that before the season started, where we'd be sitting in the scores and how competitive we are in some of these games, I'd have said, "Oh, that's wishful thinking, man." So that part's pretty encouraging.
And again, you can put anything on paper, but I mean, from the standpoint, first off, you've got Heidelberg, then you've got Ohio Northern, that'd be the home finale, and then you close on the road at Muskingum. It's really conceivable that you could pull out a win in 2 of these last 3 games for sure.
Yeah, I think you misspoke. I think you meant to say we could win all 3 games.
Yes. Obviously, I do, yes.
Yeah, that's right. I hated to correct
2
you.
out of 3, but there was a song like that, wasn't there?
Yeah. And again, it's kind of my philosophy of things. I believe we can win all 3 games. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But that's not stuff we talk about to our team. That's not where we're at yet. We can't go out and pick which games we can play well in or which games we can win.
One week at a time.
Yeah, I mean, but it's all the same approach, and I think that has to continue to be our focus till we get to a spot where we know who we are. And we're playing the game the right way and consistently on both sides, all 3 sides of the ball with special teams every week. Once we get to that part, then I can be a little bit more boastful of, yeah, we definitely should win all 3 games. But right now, I'm worried about how we handle tomorrow on Friday. Are we mentally preparing the right way? Is this a team that's moving forward? This is a team that's focused on Friday for the 45 minutes that we have them through a walkthrough. Is this a team that's doing the right things? Is this a team that's going to get up and show up on time early morning for breakfast on Saturday? Or we're going to have kids coming late? Because then my culture's failing. Is this a team that can get on the bus, handle the road trip the right way, get off the bus, and when the bomb goes off, playing fast football? That's what I'm more concerned about right now than what some lighted scoreboard tells me.
Yeah, and something that I think I've noticed too, and Coach Moore and I talked about this earlier in the year, and it goes back to the turnovers. I think the thing that really has hurt Wilmington in the past is so many times they gave the ball up, especially in the red zone even. But your team, it seems like they've been more composed, been focused more on taking care of the football, because let's face it, those turnovers battles, when you're at a negative rating, that's giving the other team the opportunity to score, and you can't.
Absolutely shocked by how well we've taken care of the football. Absolutely shocked. They were averaging 29 turnovers a season for the last 5 years.
Ouch.
That's 3 turnovers a game. every game for the last 5 years. Incredible. It was something we emphasize, and we do a bunch of stuff to make sure of it. But I think we only have like 5 or 6 on a season right now, and we had none against Mount Union. Another big thing is that the amount of sacks they were giving up. Every year we haven't opened up the floodgates on that as well, and I think that's part of it. When you're rebuilding something, is find those small victories of what do you want to focus on. Well, in order to be a more consistent offense, even give yourself a chance, is you can't beat yourself. Part of being good is avoiding being bad. And what a bad football team or bad offenses do, they turn the ball over, they give up sacks and a lot of penalties. The penalties aren't where we need them yet. We still have too many of those with the negative yards. But as far as the sacks go and the lack of turnovers, we're one of the best teams in the conference at that right now. And I think that says, probably more than anything else about our offenses. We're accomplishing our number 1 and 2 goals right now.
Those are the things that just jump out at me from what I've seen up in the booth at home the last few years. It just seemed like we would just shoot ourselves in the foot, and at least you're not doing that. You're doing a much better job protecting the ball.
Yep.
Now, do you feel any different with the kids play on the road, 0-3 on the road? You guys are, 2 wins at home, being successful. Do you feel you got to get that out of your corner, just saying, hey, man, we're going to go out, win a game on the road. Let's do this. How important is that for the seniors, even for Terrence, people like that, to go win a game on the road?
I think it's anybody, because I don't think you've arrived as a program until you can win an OAC game on the road.
Yeah.
And
can you imagine the enthusiasm on the bus?
Yeah. I'd hate to be that bus driver, that's for sure. But that hasn't happened around here in a long time. A long time since they've won one on the road. So we got 2 opportunities to cross that bridge here this year, and hopefully we get both of those done. But certainly we'll take 1 out of 2 or whatever. But that's definitely the next major hurdle in this program, is finding a way to play well and win an OAC game on the road.
Terrence, you've been here 4 years. Of course, at home this year, the crowd's changed. How much has the crowd changed here in the culture?
Yeah, the crowd has changed a lot. Like the players, we would gain our energy from the crowds. But like last few years, the crowd. It'll be some games we'll have a big crowd like homecoming, but it wouldn't be as many people there, and then they will leave later on during the game. But I say it's the crowd. We have I thank the crowd for showing up for the games.
Now, does it change you as a player playing at home, on the road, going to Heidelberg? Is it any difference for you being at home or being away as a player standpoint?
I think it is kind of a difference between home and away. Like home, you feed off the crowd, and like if it's a big play, that the crowd is cheering and all the players is hype. And during away games, I think it's kind of the bus ride sometimes that, like, you thinking like the longer the bus ride, but when you get off the field, you have to get in that mindset that it's time to play.
What do you do to prepare for a game? Walk us through Terrence Murphy's pre-game, little warm-up. What do you do? Some things you do that, when you get off that bus, it's time to play football. From getting off the bus to stepping on the field. Let's hear it.
Yeah, first I usually just say a prayer to myself and prayer to for God to help like our team, the other team have no injuries on either side, and I basically just like listen to music and when I get on the field I just change, like get hype.
It's awesome. But see, and that's the thing. I think a lot of us, as players, as spectators, we like to see it, and I feed off your emotion. I watch you play each and every week. I love the emotion. Defensive line, at Wilmington College has changed a lot. I mean, you guys done a great job. David Henry here, local guy here. You guys got a good relationship, you and him?
Yeah, we do. Like the whole defense got a good relationship with each other. We trust each other. We just we communicate on the field, and that's.
And so Coach Philly, and I like to shout out to Coach Philly. That's my dude. So I'm like, yes, bringing that back, to Wilmington College, that means a lot to me. And to hear that from a player, Coach Philly's out there doing work, doing his job.
Yep, he is.
To Brian, I'll pose the question this way: if Wilmington is to beat Heidelberg on Saturday, they must do what, and what? What are the 3 keys to the game?
number one, we got to take care of the football. As always, their defense generates more turnovers than anybody in this conference. That's number one on our side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, we have got to grow up quickly in the secondary. We're gonna be a very young secondary again this week against two of the better wide receivers and arguably the best quarterback in the conference. So they're going to be attacking our young guys. Our young guys got to grow up, make some plays, and on the offensive side of the ball, we can't allow them to make game-changing plays on defense.
So I want to thank you guys for coming on again this week.
Yeah, real quick, Chris.
Go ahead.
Can Terrence shout out his mom's listening from Florida. I want to stand her crowd. His family, his mom and his dad, Texas and Florida, both were in both hurricanes here this offseason, so they're listening back here. So say hi to your mom, ma'am.
Hey, mom. Hey, dad.
Hey, tell us, do they get an opportunity to come out much?
Yeah, they'll be here for senior day.
Oh, that'll be awesome. So tell us a little bit about your pops and your moms real quick before we get off here.
Yeah, my pops is a funny dude. He's from Philly, and he's coming down. He's in Florida, and I have a little brother too that plays Lake Brantley High School in Florida. And my mother is in Texas. So yep.
So you're going to, after school, you saying you might go back to Florida, might go back to Texas,
Yeah.
go see your parents. But you know what? Shout out to your parents too. Here on CampusNation.com. Appreciate you, Terrence Murphy,
Thank
Coach Moore,
Chris,
Coach
Bell,
Byrne.
thanks so much, man.
You guys are the bomb.
Yep.
Good luck
Appreciate
this
it.
week. I hope you guys win.
Thank you, Terrence.
Hey, see you next week.
You got it,
Here
man.
on
Thanks so much.
WGA 106.9. Bill
Appreciate it.
Learman and Chris Weiskup out. All right.
Get a win.
Yes, sir.
That was good.
Thanks, man.
A lot of fun.
Thanks, Terrence.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. Put a lot of enthusiasm. I like that. Yes, sir. I like watching. How you doing, man? Thank you. All right. See you, Brian. Take care. Good luck, Coach. Appreciate it. You guys are making a difference. Just keep it up. Appreciate it. Chris, stop broadcast. Haven't done anything. Hello there. Okay. How's it going? Good. I know the PD's happy.